This facility contains all the machines and equipment you will need to survive on Mars. We will begin with a presentation of power generation machines.
Okay.
Let's start with the radioisotope thermoelectric. This is the radioisotope thermoelectric generator, also known as RTG. Learn more by using the speaker. The RTG is an electrical generator utilizing the thermoelectric effect. The electricity is produced through the conversion of the heat released by the decay of radioactive material. Despite an output of only a few hundred watts, the half-life of the used isotope provides the capacity for a constant power supply spanning many years. It is provided with two standard output sockets and a standard display. Let's plug in the power cable. We are going to use the RTG shortly.
Let's plug in the cable. So grab the cable, push towards the socket. You see the blue shadow, and left click.
This panel displays on the left the electrical power generated by the RTG, and on the right its draining load. The load is currently at 0, as it is not connected to any machine. Great! Now move on to the communications tower next to you. This is a communications tower. It serves as a beacon for your map. Knowing your exact location, such as of your crew and your machines, is vital on Mars. Hence, communications towers create an information network when they are in range of each other. Your interactive map will connect to the nearest comms tower and displays information about anything covered by the network. If there is another comms tower in range, it will connect to the existing network of comms towers and expand the area you can see. Now, we can supply this comms tower thanks to the RTG.
Okay, so I'm going to plug this comms tower in. Grab the cable. Exactly the same as before. Then left click when you see the blue shadow.
The communications tower is operational now. Use the map key to open it.
So if you look at the top left hand corner, you have M for map, L for helmet light, Q for equip tool, and I for open inventory. So it's M for map.
Good work. Now proceed to your next objective.
And close the map again, the MK.
A cable spool can contain up to 5 power cables. As a cable is 10 meters long, they are rolled up on the spool for easier transport. Learn more about power cables by using the speaker. Power cables have a red end and a green end. The red is for input, for example to a machine producing energy like the RTG, and the green is for output, for example to a machine requiring energy like the communications tower. Observe the sockets on each machine. The color code will inform you about the correct connection, red to green or green to red. You can unwind the cable by clicking on the spool with the unwind key. To rewind the cable, just grab the cable and hold it onto the spool, then press the same key again.
So it's left mouse button.
Easy, right? Now grab that cable and rewind it onto the cable spool.
So you grab the object and you tap the left mouse button again.
Now that you've learned how to handle power cables, move on to the power hub. This is a power hub. It serves as a connector bridge between power generators and machines. The power hub has 6 red input sockets on the right and 6 green output sockets on the left. It allows you to connect a maximum of 6 power generators to the input sockets and distribute power to up to 6 machines via the output sockets. The display on the left shows the sum of power generated in the electricity network or grid expressed in watts. The right shows the current electricity load. The bottom line informs about the power stored in the hub batteries and the estimated load duration. As you can see behind you, you can connect several hubs together to reduce the amount of cables needed for supplying the machines with electricity. Plug that cable to an input socket before we move on.
So this cable wants plugging in. So you tap the E key. And tap the left mouse button.
Now it's time to have a look at the solar array. A solar array, also referred as a solar panel, absorbs the rays of the sun and processes them into electricity. The solar array is made of two panels that convert the solar power to electricity, utilizing the photovoltaic effect. Two additional batteries can store up to several kilowatts per hour of electricity. One solar array can generate over 2 times more power than the RTG. However, its efficiency depends exclusively on the amount of solar energy available. It's also provided with 2 output sockets and a power display. Now plug in that cable to connect the solar array to the power hub.
That's twice as much as an RTG, not 2 times.
Great! You now have the required knowledge about power generators for your future mission on Mars. That should come in handy. We will now focus on the different machines you will have at your disposal. Please proceed to the machines area. Each machine comes in 2 versions, a large one and a small one. We will start with the topsoil extractor. This is a topsoil extractor. Its sole function is to extract the soil from the surface.
Let's take a look. And listen to the description.
The topsoil extractor uses a flexible hose to gather the surface of the soil in the same way as a vacuum cleaner. The extracted resource is collected into barrels that must be plugged in prior to its usage. It has 2 input sockets for its energy supply, such as a standard display informing about its energy usage. The large topsoil extractor, like this one, proposes 4 barrel plugs. A small version, less energy demanding, embarks only 1 plug. Use that cable to supply the topsoil extractor so we can use it.
So to plug this in as well, exactly the same as before.
Perfect. Now that the machine is powered, you have to plug in the resource barrel for it to start working. There should be one lying nearby. Use that. Now, connect the barrel to an empty slot. When properly supplied with energy, the machine starts to operate immediately.
Let's rotate it. I'm using the rotation keys.
Perfect. We can now continue with the atmospheric processor. This is the atmospheric processor. It captures the surrounding atmosphere. The atmosphere is drawn in through an air pump and redirected into resource barrels that collects the air. The large atmospheric processor accepts up to 5 barrel plugs, whereas the small energy efficient atmospheric processor proposes 1 plug only. Connect the cable so we can collect the Earth atmosphere.
Let's go vacuum cleaner. Let's plug this in.
Perfect. Now that the machine is powered, you have to plug in the resource barrel for it to start working.
There's 2 there already, but somebody's
Now,
have to...
connect the barrel to an empty slot. When properly supplied with energy, the machine starts to operate immediately. Let the processor work and move to the drilling rig.
It's got a bit noisy around here. What's that one?
This is a drilling rig, used for excavation. A twist drill bit penetrates the crust with a fast rotation. The raw material is then lifted up through a borehole via the cutting edges. The extracted rock is stored into barrels. This large drilling rig proposes 4 barrel slots and a standard display panel, while the small version has 1 plug. Connects the machine to a cable so we can dig up some earth rock.
Connect this cable.
Perfect. Now that the machine is powered, you have to plug in the resource barrel for it to start working. There should be one lying nearby. Use that one. It doesn't have to be necessarily empty.
Doesn't have to be necessarily empty, they said. Okay.
On each machine, do not omit to pay attention to the power display. You can monitor the machine's energy requirements, the overall power available on the grid, and the potential usage duration. Do not forget that a machine cannot operate with barrels filled with improper resources. For example, an earth soil barrel plugged to a drilling rig. If you do so, the machine will just stop working. Do not get confused. Let's move on to the next machine.
You just did confuse it, to be perfectly honest. This is saying wrong surface material. Both of these barrels are now full of earth rock, so that's okay.
This is a materials refinery, a beautiful piece of engineering that can refine raw resources into materials or compounds.
That's what it's actually the description is.
The materials refinery has two main functions. It can either split complex materials into their constituent components, or it can synthesize compounds from core materials. Input and output slots are located on each side of the refinery. The large materials refinery comes with 3 input and 5 output slots. The small one has respectively 2 input and 3 output slots. A control panel allows for the operations of the desired reaction. Plug in the cable so we can start to put our hands on this machine.
So plug this in as well. Let's move up to there.
The refinery is now powered. Why don't we try it out on some raw material we've just collected? Let's split some rock. Take one of the earth rock barrels from the drilling rig and plug it into a free input slot of the refinery.
We didn't actually, it says remove here. Remove the cable.
Remember, input slots are on the left of the materials refinery.
So left input, right output.
The input barrel is connected. Now, earth rock's second splitting reaction produces 4 elements, so we need 4 output barrels. 3 barrels are connected already. The 4th one should be nearby.
So I've got one just here. I've got 3 plugged in already. I want this one.
This barrel is partially filled with oxygen, which is one of the elements of the splitting earth rock's reaction. Plug it into a free output slot at the right side of the refinery. Good job! Now move to the control panel. We will finalize the last parameters before initiating the process. Note that you won't be able to proceed if you disconnect the power cable or unplug any required barrel.
So we've got split earth rock 2. 2 silicon, 2 aluminium, 1 iron and 8. Is that 8 oxygen or 6? It's 8 oxygen. So we select this. Select all the plugged in barrels. So process materials.
Here is displayed the reactions list screen. It shows all the reactions the materials refinery is capable of processing. Select Split Earth Rock 2 to access the reactions details, required input materials, and expected output components. In our case, 5 units of earth rock, the input material, will generate 2 units of oxygen, 1 of silicon, 1 of aluminium, and 1 unit of iron, the 4 output components. To navigate through the control panel, use the centered mouse cursor, not the free cursor. To ease the reading, you can hold the zoom key to zoom. When you're ready, close the reaction list screen to access the processing screen.
I think we've already done that. So how about I just plug another barrel in? Yeah, we'll just plug another barrel in because it's I think I jumped the gun there a little bit. So I'll go with, why did it say water? Earth rock 2.
Once all the correct slots are selected, the reaction is ready to be performed. Click on the process materials to proceed.
I've got earth rock already, so I don't understand why it's not. Oh, we've got. Oh. I think I may have just jumped the gun a little bit. So I'll unplug the oxygen because obviously that's full. So I'll go and unplug it's the second one from the other end. It's the one I just plugged in actually. Get that. Empty it out. That's it. And plug it back in. I think I sort of preempted the narrator there. So reactions list. Earthrock 2. Close. Should. Yeah, there we go. So processing material.
And voila! When the materials refinery is processing, you can monitor the decrease of the input material and the production of the output components as you wish. Now let's move on to the next device. This huge thing is the resource tank. It is used to store large quantities of resource. 2 input slots for transferring from a barrel into the tank and 2 output slots for collecting the stored resource into individual barrels, plus a simple display for capacity monitoring. It's as simple as that. Let's completely fill that oxygen barrel. Plug it into an output slot of the resource tank. As you can see, the quantity of resource decreases from the tank, filling up the barrel until it's full, or until the tank is depleted. The materials refinery should now have produced enough oxygen from the earth rock. Bring it to the resource tank.
It should be full. Just take a very, very quick look. I don't know what the actual zoom key is. No. That's something I have to find out where the zoom key is. Not important. So plug this into the input section.
Observe the oxygen of the barrel being stored in the resource tank. No need to say that you can't plug in the barrel whose resource differs from the element stored in the tank. We're almost done. The last thing to learn is the 3D printer. Go through the gates to the printer testing area.
Okay, so that's 3D printer. Wow, that's a big 3D printer.
2 types of 3D printers are available. We will start with the creative printer on your right. This is the Creative 3D printer. It's a user-friendly type of printer. The Creative 3D printer is able to build any machine or equipment you've ever dreamed of. It doesn't require any resource or power, and the printing duration is very short. The printer uses blueprints for printing an item. Blueprints are detailed construction diagrams that expand what the printer can build. Each object requires its corresponding blueprint to be printed. They must be stored in the printer's inventory. Open the printer's inventory by holding the use key while pointing at it.
It doesn't use any power or resources. That's a bit weird. What?
This is the Creative 3D printer menu, where you have access to the printable items, depending on the corresponding blueprint stored in the printer inventory. On the left side of the screen is a filter panel that allows you to browse through the different categories of items. Select any filter to continue.
Oh, I see. Amazing. It's the creative mode. It's like the actual simulation mode. It's just the free creative mode. Cheat mode, in other words. You just build whatever you want to. So select a category in filter by type.
Selecting a category displays the list of related objects in the central panel. Go deeper in the filters to refine your selection.
Outposts, accessory, items, vehicles, modular. I'm going to go with outposts because I don't want to spoil anything for the future. So I'll go with stations. Hydroponic station and a water station. I'll go with comms because I've already seen the comms tower.
Selecting an object will show its details on the right side of the menu. You can also see the Create button that initiates the printing process of the selected object. A holographic image represents the object currently printed. This helps you assess its actual size and also serves as a safety to avoid printing objects larger than the available space around the printer.
So, press Create.
Now comes the inventory of the printer. Close the printer menu by clicking the cross on the top right or pressing the escape key.
Yep, and what then? Grab the object. And set it down. Of course, it needs to be got printer controls just there. Open the printer. Access the printer menu by pressing the Use key E while looking at it, which I just did. So select the category in Filter by Type on the left. Select the object in Print from to print from the Select Object central panel. I just did though. Materials refinery then. Obstructed. Oh, right. Press Create on the bottom right to print for. Construction progress bar will appear to show the current progress. 5. Click the cross at the top right and I'll press Escape. I did do. Already did that. I'm going to fill the entire area up with. So as it wants you to do things that are smaller. Yeah. There we go. It's alright. It says construction progress bar will appear to show the current progress. But it hasn't. Because it's obstructed. How is it obstructed? Well, of course it's obstructed because, yeah. Oh, you know. Beam me up, Scotty. No. No? Oh. Whee. Alright, man. Calm down. It's weird. So, creative 3D printer that prints without resources or power. Open the printer inventory by holding the Use key or E. Well, it's E, or by pressing the inventory key I while pointing at it.
This is the Creative 3D Printer's inventory. Blueprints come as data disks. They must be stored in the data disk slots. Note that if you filter machines, then printers, you will access the list of objects required for building your own larger modular printer. Equipped with a construction tool, the modular printer is built the same way as a base. That's all you need to know about the Creative 3D Printer. Good job. Now the last part with the modular 3D printer.
So this is basically the cheat. Basically, it allows you to build anything with no resources or power. So you won't have access to this unless you're actually in creative mode.
Now it's time to proceed to the modular 3D printer.
So this is the real printer. This needs power, resources. As you can see, there's a cable running to it. So
The modular 3D printer is a realistic printing device. Firstly, its size can be increased by adding more pieces to a basic small modular printer. Edge, base, ramp extension, resources slots edge, etc. The larger the size, the bigger and more complex objects it can print. Secondly, it needs different types of resources for printing depending on the object. Slots are available for plugging in any type of resources barrel. Objects that require more resources or a bigger printer are clearly indicated. Let's print something. Open the modular printer menu by pressing the use key while looking at the control panel.
Okay, so it's already plugged in. And it already has its argon, silicon, aluminium and iron. So it's got 4 resource barrels, input barrels already plugged in, but it's got space for 6. It's access to panel.
This menu is similar to the creative printers. The main difference lies in the required resources for printing, as indicated at the bottom right. Note that if you filter machines, then printers, you will access the list of objects required for building your own larger modular printer. Equipped with the construction tool, the modular printer is built the same way as a base. Now, choose the object you wish to print and create it.
So 129 iron, 128 aluminium, 82 silicon and 39 argon. So what can we... just build something... power. So that's too large. The solar panel then you can't actually make, so... MMRTG. Socket hub. A cable spool. Low resources. And that's too large. In other words, we're low on one of the resources it needs. Yep, so we've got no plastic. We need to create plastic before we can actually make the water station. Lighting resources. There. Yep, 10 silicon oxide. What can we actually make then? Low resources there, 10 silicon oxide again, that's too large. Printers. But we can 3D printer access ramp. Small. A large extension. Small extension. So I'll build the large extension. Think so, should we? Yeah.
A printing time is required, depending on the object. The bigger, the longer. Once printed, the object must be removed from the printer to free space for the next object. You can close the menu now. Do remember that you will need to enlarge the modular printer piece by piece for printing very large objects. Even a huge vehicle like a cargo truck can be built, provided that enough resources are available. Congratulations for completing the machines training. That wasn't easy, but you managed it like a pro. Surviving on Mars should now be no problem. You can now pursue your training by using the board.
So how would you actually extend this, I wonder? Weight is 3.9 kilos. That's because it's sort of locked, so you can't actually do that. Whoops, gee. Don't want to do that. Let's get inside. Oh. Hey, no, I don't want to do that. Must be some way of actually doing this. Obviously not that. Medical till. Well, I thought they'd change how to actually sort of extend your 3D printer. Oh, sorry. Can I just unplug it first? No? Maybe? No power. Which is pretty obvious. Oh, I was hoping that actually show how to actually extend, actually use all the machines. But obviously not. Obviously you need some sort of tool there to do that. Which I wouldn't be at all surprised. Okay, well, I've unplugged it anyway, so. Okay, so that is part 3 of the Take on Mars tutorial. We've done 1 basics, 2 vehicles, 3 machines now. We've just got the 4, which is habitat. So I'll head off to that now.